To your shame. Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this case of a accounting student, 18-year-old, 19-year-old maybe, Henry Nowak from down south, or at least he's studying down, or Nowak, or at least he's studying down in Southampton, where he appears to have been set upon by a Sikh man carrying ceremonial religious blades. The police arrested the victim, or the alleged victim, didn't believe him when he says he's been stabbed, says I don't think so mate, and he was arrested because the alleged attacker claimed that he'd been racially abused by the white boy, or the white man. Now, we have to be careful, or I have to be careful, about what we specifically discuss because this is a live case. But there's interesting information that's come out that a lot of people need to be aware of. First of all, let's think about our Prime Minister. Back when, I think it's George Floyd, was allegedly murdered in America, at least the jury found him guilty of murder, it was triggered riots and protests all over Britain for something that happened in America. Where's the outrage, and why are the governments and the Home Office doing everything in their power to find out what actually went wrong here? The primacy should be to save life. I've seen many times when I've been in hospital criminals going to A&E in handcuffs with the police to get treatment. That should override any alleged crime, in my particular view. That's just the way I feel about it. Now, it also brings to bear certain other issues like religious exemptions. Why is it that there are religious exemptions for blanket rules? If I walked outside with a bladed article, I think it's over 3 inches, because I'm not a protected characteristic, I could be done because it's an offensive weapon or a concealed weapon in public. I could be done for that. But apparently, if you are particular faiths, you get kid gloves. And this is what we need to change in the UK. Now, there's certain elements of the case that are in the public domain. The victim, he had been drinking, however, he wasn't even over the legal limit where you can actually get behind a vehicle wheel and drive. So he wasn't drunk by any stretch of the imagination, and yet the defendant in court is saying that the victim, or the alleged victim, was drunk. Straight away, you need to call bullshit on that, because legally, he wasn't drunk, alright, he wasn't intoxicated, he could have got behind the vehicle, so he's not even had a pint, he could have got behind the wheel of a vehicle, and he could have actually drove home if he had a vehicle to drive. And then the defendant is also saying that it was self-defence. He's going down the line of this was racially aggravated and it was self-defence. The reports that have been released to the public show that the person, the victim, was stabbed on the back of his body, on his back legs. He was attempting to flee the situation, and he was set upon and pursued, and there was a trail of blood. And this is the thing, we have a legal standard in Britain, which is about proportionality. So even if you buy into the self-defence argument on the face of it, if the person that you're defending against is fleeing, at that point it's no longer self-defence. At that point it is premeditation. At that point I would go so far as to say that it must be murder. That would be my opinion, based on the fact that if you're actively pursuing somebody and it's a live hot situation and you're actively pursuing that person down, by any standard, that is no longer self-defence. Alright. It's telling that because this happened to a white boy, a white person in the United Kingdom, that the media is all but silent on it. But you can trust the BBC. You can trust the BBC. They've took the victim's side. They're not being balanced and they're not being impartial. I'm not going to read the full article because the full article is quite disturbing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read a part of it now. So I'm going to bring this up here. A Sikh man fatally stabbed a university student in the street because he feared being attacked with his own Sikh blades. There we go, change the law. Don't have the blades in public. No religious exemptions. Henry Nowak from Chafford 100, Essex, was killed as he walked back from a night out in Southampton on the 3rd of September. This was last year, 2025. Vikram Digwar, 23, told Southampton Crown Court that Nowak was drunk. No, he wasn't. Talk screen showed that he wasn't drunk, and that he barged into him after they met on a pavement, leading to a violent altercation. The defendant, who denies murder and carrying a knife in public, says he used his kurpan after Nowak punched him and pulled his hair. Digwar told the jury, "I thought I had to do something because I was afraid he was going to stab me with my own kurpan." So you stabbed him 4 times. Once, if we're to believe your story, would have been proportional. 4 times is literally overkill. And this person is no longer here to tell the story, or we can't hear his side of it. Digwar told the jury, "I thought I had to do something because I was afraid he was going to stab me with my own kurpan." Alright. I'd be interested to know if the trainee accountant had any altercations with the law before this, if the police had ever needed to question him, and I would want to look at the defendant's history as well, just so we can get an overview. That would be my request if I was on the jury. Previously, the court heard that the defendant was carrying a 21cm 8-inch blade in a sheath around his neck on Belmont Road about 23:30 GMT. He told the court that he was walking to fetch some curry chips from a car when he met Nowak coming the other way. To me, it seemed like he was drunk. Okay, so that's what he's saying, and that's what the defence is. As I say, if this was an ethnic minority, if this was a person of colour, we would have wall-to-wall coverage all over the BBC, all over Sky News, all over ITV, saying how evil Whitey is, and we need to get rid of the racism in the United Kingdom. When we have a protected minority using his freedoms that aren't afforded to the rest of us, such as carrying bladed articles in public, pulling the race card. Interesting side note, his mother has also been accused of concealing evidence and removing evidence from a crime, and the defendant also had the victim or the alleged victim's phone on him as well. What I would be interested, or my thought process is, if you're genuinely self-defense, why are you pursuing the victim? Why is there multiple stab wounds on the back of him? Why is your mother concealing evidence? And why have you got the defendant's phone? Or sorry, the victim's phone. Why have you got his phone? Alright? Surely, if it was all as you're saying it was, hands up, I've made a mistake, this person's seriously wounded, seriously injured, here's his phone, here's my phone, here's the bladed articles, do what you need to. That's not what happened here. And what really, really, really pisses me off is that the mortally injured victim has pleaded with the police, "I'm injured." He's probably said, "I think I'm dying," or "I am dying." And the police have arrested him for being a racist and said, "I don't think so. I don't believe you. I do not believe the blood coming from your wounds is real." These people, and when I say these people, I mean the police, need to be fired. Now, thankfully, Elon Musk has said that he will fund any private prosecutions on these individuals, on these vile police officers that think that being a racist is more evil than being a murderer. Alright? Now, thankfully, we have had somebody in the House of Commons, not my favourite MP, not by a long way, Robert Jenrick, mention this, but it's telling that the Home Secretary has not even made a statement. It's telling that the Prime Minister's not even made a statement. I am disgusted. But we're going to get to the video now.
A night out is stabbed multiple times with a 21cm long knife. He's lying in a pool of his own blood, literally drowning in his blood. The police come to the scene. Instead of doing everything that they can to save his life, they handcuff and arrest the lad because there's an accusation of racial abuse. This is a scandal. Will the Home Secretary come to the House and say what she's doing to investigate the way the police conducted this matter? And can we have a debate on two-tier policing, which is doing so much to undermine respect for the police and for the rule of law in this country?
This is the issue. Alright, this is the particular issue. The police have operational independence unless the Home Secretary chooses to intervene. This needs to change as well. The police forces, the chief constables all over the UK, need to be directly accountable to Parliament, and they need to be directly accountable to the Home Secretary, not some committee, and they shouldn't be able to police themselves. We'll end this here. I'm very, very staunch on this. There should be no religious exemptions for anything. Anything. Not kosher, not halal, not, oh, I'm allowed to carry this stabbing weapon in public because I'm a Sikh or I'm a Muslim, or I don't care. This is disgusting. When I seen this, I was outraged, and I was like, how can this be true? You've got a kid bleeding out on the street. You've got a kid literally bleeding out, telling the police, I've been stabbed, I need help, you need to help me. Not only do they not help, they arrest him because the person who's attacked him and put him in that position has said, oh, he was a racist. Maybe I'm overstating things, maybe I'm overreacting to this. I don't think I am. I think I'm actually being exceedingly polite here, and I'm giving everybody involved more credit than they deserve. Anyway, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.